Owen Clark as he extends his championship points lead. At 10:40 tomorrow morning, Patrick Woods Toth will be trying to pull off the sweep of all three of the Formula Regional Americas races. He wrapped up the championship earlier today with his win. And then we'll have the second of our Nissan Sentra Cup races. That'll go 11:25 tomorrow morning. And then the Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin, their second race of the weekend, will go at 12:30, taking us into the lunch break. And during that lunch break, or in fact, even before the lunch break, while the Sports Car Championship Canada cars are on the racetrack, we'll have the NASCAR autograph session. All of the drivers in the paddock, in the upper paddock here for the NASCAR Canada autograph session. That will go from 12:30 until 1 o'clock. We'll then get into our pre-race activities and opening ceremonies and looking at a start for the WeatherTech 251 laps on the 2.459-mile track here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, kicking off at 2 p.m. We're going to step aside here for a moment and allow Dave Bradley and Todd Lewis to fill the announcers' chairs. They'll be calling the action here for the first of two Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin races here this weekend. It is up next on our public address system and on 90.5 FM here at the racetrack. Enjoy the race. Adam Ross and I will be back for NASCAR Canada qualifying following that race.
So the field is rolling here on the front straightaway for the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. I'm Dave Bradley. Joined with me in the tower is Todd Lewis to bring you all of the action in this race. And it will be a 40-minute timed race. And there are three separate classes racing all together on the track all at once. It sounds confusing. It isn't. We'll bring you right through it. So they will start in two packs. The GT4s, the pair of cars right at the front of the field. Jack Polito in the 22, Caden Goodrich, so the Ford and the Porsche. They're the GT4 entries. Then it's the group of TCR cars led by young Anthony Martella, and the 95. Richard Boak in the 84 will start alongside him. Ruben Volt in the 8. Then Connor Attrell, Gary Kwok in 4th and 5th. 6th and 7th has Ron Tomlinson, Quinn Attrell, Megan Tomlinson, and Tom Kwok will round out the field. And then the TCA class is where we could crown a champion potentially today. Robert Cipriani Dietrich in the 5 will start on pole. Alongside him, Eric Kuntz. And Kuntz is, as long as he can stay in second, can clinch the championship in the TCA class today. Felix Kwok, Peter Hansen, and Megan Leahy will round out the field in the TCA class. But This always proves to be a great facility for all three of these classes. It's great for the GT4 cars, the high speed down the back straightaway, but also for the TCR. They're so quick around this facility, Todd.
Very nimble. The front-wheel drive cars operate a little bit differently, don't have the same grunt, the same horsepower as the GT4 cars, but through the tighter turns, they're a little quicker, a little more nimble, so they make up time where the GT4 cars have to slow just a little bit further to navigate those corners. So it keeps the competition close because you have multi-class racing, you have traffic to deal with throughout the duration of the 40 minutes, as you will have those GT4 cars coming up rather quickly on some of the TCA and TCR cars, and that adds to the excitement in the 40 minutes.
Going to do one more warm-up lap, and so we'll take you through some of the differences between the three cars that are on track if you're catching the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin for the first time. So the GT4 is the most horsepower, about 540 plus. 6-speed sequential gearbox. They have adjustable ABS and traction control, and they are the fastest in a straight line. They weigh just over 3,000 pounds. TCR has about 350 horsepower. They're front-wheel drive, 2-liter turbos, and they're pumping out 40-plus pounds of boost. 6-speed sequential gearbox, 2,700 pounds, and again, everything done with those front wheels. Driving, steering, and braking, and that's what makes those cars so much fun. The TCA, about 220 horsepower. It's a 1.5-liter turbo inline 4. Manual gearbox, so not sequential. It's the old H pattern that you have to go up and down through the gears. Fixed ABS, and 2,400 pounds. And again, a front-wheel drive car. So that's where you'll see the Subaru BRZs and the Honda Civic driven by Eric Kuntz, as well as the Hyundai Veloster in there as well. So several different makes and models all mixed in together. The rules fairly similar to keep them all on a level playing field.
There we see the front of the field. The pace lights have just gone out in the Chevrolet Camaro pace car. The GT4 cars of Jack Polito and Caden Goodrich will lead this field to green. There's a bit of a gap back to the TCR cars. Safety measure. You don't want everyone starting up bunched up tight like that in multi-class racing. So once we get underway, but as mentioned, because of the difference in performance, there will be traffic to navigate for these GT4 cars and the TCR cars as well.
Absolutely, and you'll see the pace car will bring them slowly through turn number 8. Caden Goodrich, the 77 Porsche, and the GT4 will start on the outside. Jack Polito in a new paint scheme for that team, the Comstock livery, honoring 60 years of Ford performance. So if you've seen that car all season long, you thought, wait a second, it looks different today. You're absolutely right. So a little bit of a throwback scheme as they head onto the front straightaway. Looking for the green flag as we get things underway in race number 1 here on the Labor Day Sprints at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Porsche on the outside of Caden Goodrich trying to take over top spot, but Jack Polito continues to power through the inside as we glance back now at the front of the TCR field with Anthony Martella and Richard Boat leading the flag to green flag.
Young Martella jumps to the early lead into turn number 1. They'll follow suit in single file, and look at the Hyundai go way out on the outside. The trail entry slides out, finds his hold back in line, and we have a battle for the lead in GT4s for a little bit. Polito took a look to the outside and then falls back in line in turn number 4. That would have been a dicey move on the outside of turn number 4.
Thought better of that. Jack Polito will now fall in line with the 77 of Caden Goodrich and will try to put that Ford Mustang horsepower to good use down the Mario Andretti straightaway, and they are door to door right now.
And that car just puts the power down so well as Jack Polito able to clear the 77 even before they make it to turn number 8. A Multimatic Motorsport built brand new Ford Mustang to start this season as Jack Polito goes back to top spot in a place where he has yet to lose while racing a GT4 car. He loves it here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Would you call that a comfortable pass as we're looking up front now of the TCR field, and it is Richard Bogue who started on the outside of the front row who is leading, and it looks like the 8 of Ruben Volt has slid into second spot.
Yeah, and there's an interesting story too. Ruben Volt comes to us from Europe, as a matter of fact. So making his first start in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series. Has run several different series in Europe, all in TCR class cars, all in Honda Civics, but has a couple wins already in 2024. So coming over to see how the competition is in Canada. It's stiff because he qualified third, but now starting to flex a little bit as Martella slides from the top spot down into third. There's the race lead in the TCA. You see Felix Kwok in the 11 chasing the 5 of Robert Cipriani Dietrich. So the Subaru is the leader in the TCA class. Then it's the Honda Civic. There's Eric Koontz. He's your points leader in the 25. And as long as he finishes, if he finishes there, so here's the thing. The 11 car is not collecting points here today, so he should be able to clinch as long as the 11 finishes ahead of him. A little bit of math playing in the Koontz camp, but they too, actually, with a brand new sponsor on board, Amico Design Build, the title sponsor of that car here today, and man-made boxer briefs, and a cool story behind Amico. They brought 15 Sick Kids patient ambassadors to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park this weekend, guests of Amico Design Build. So a huge supporter of motorsports, and awesome to see them get so involved.
Eric Koontz had a group with him at the Toronto Indy as well of ambassadors. It was nice to see. And as we look back at the TCR battle, Anthony Martella has been trying to put a little bit of pressure on that 8 car of Ruben Volt. Took over second spot in the opening lap. Richard Boak took the lead, and that's how they run, with Boak, Volt, and Martella in the TCR class, and Martella would like to get back up towards the front of this field.
Comes into this one as your points leader. Martella just a slim margin behind. As a matter of fact, it's just a little bit over 20 points behind. So he does need the 84 to have a little bit of bad luck here in this final weekend of the season for the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, and he needs to solidify himself with a couple good runs. He did run into some trouble at the last race at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, especially in race number 2. He was trying to make a move for the top spot, and unfortunately his race ended early. And
that happened to a couple of competitors at the GP3R weekend. There were some difficulties. Those concrete walls will bite you. Back up front of the GT4 category, that is Jack Polito out front, as we have seen so many times here, so many circuits around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, putting himself a little bit of a gap now ahead of the 77 of Caden Goodrich. It's a 1.7 second differential, and this is where Jack Polito has excelled, is getting out in front and then just cruising, maintaining a comfortable, manageable gap between himself and the second place runner. And he has been so hard to chase down.
He has been, especially here, but not only here, at every single track that the series runs. He has won 7 out of 8 races in 2024. The only race he hasn't won came at Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, as you mentioned, where the walls come up and bite you fairly quickly. And unfortunately for him, he was the victim of that, as Robert Cipriani Dietrich runs wide in turn number 10, kicks up a lot of dust, and he loses top spot as the 11 of Felix Kwok slides through fairly easily in turn number 1.
Being in position to take advantage of a competitor's mistake, that was textbook from Felix Kwok. He was up close to Robert Cipriani Dietrich, who ran wide coming out of corner number 10, got a little bit out onto the grass as they headed towards the start-finish line, and then Felix Kwok to jump out in front and take over top spot at TCA.
And you see Eric Koontz in the orange car hanging in there as well, trying to keep those leaders just inside as Martella has managed to get around the 8 of Ruben Volts, and he does make it stick on the outside of turn number 8. He'll have the preferred groove in turn number 9 and holds him off as they fall single file in through turn number 10. Nice move by the youngster in that number 95.
Some very nice driving that we're seeing in this Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. 2 very good passes there on the same lap, as you saw Anthony Martella gathered himself up after losing a couple of spots on the initial start and set his sights on moving back into position. Picks up a nice spot going into corner number 8, as you mentioned. Smooth move on the inside or around the outside of corner number 8 to set up to be on the inside of corner number 9.
Yeah, and we talk about some of the young talent that we're starting to see in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. You have Felix Kwok, who's only made a handful of starts. I believe this is his 3rd start in the season in the M&S Motorsports number 11. And then you have the two teenagers in the TCR class, and Anthony Martella and Ruben Volz, who's only 18 years old.
Megan Leahy has also jumped
right.
into the TCA category in the last couple of races at GP3R, and she's with us here this weekend at CTMP, making the move up into sports cars. And the TCA, that's the entry level, the cost-effective, if you will, entry into sports car racing in the Sports Car Championship Canada.
Ron Tomlinson in the Audi, up on the outside of the 66 of Kwok into turn number 8. Again, he'll have that pass completed before they even reach that point, but Tomlinson has been coming on strong in the latter half of the season, sits third in points, but picked up his very first win in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. He was considered the Iron Man for the most starts in a row, and then he finally broke through to victory.
He was in position to win race number 1 of the doubleheader at GP3R, had a little contact, got nudged out of the way and managed a podium position, but didn't score the victory, made up for it the next day, scoring his first win. He was very happy after the race, and understandably so.
Optimism in paddock too for a guy who's been a familiar face in and around these competitors for many years. As we take a look, top spot now, TCA, as Robert Cipriani Dietrich to the inside takes a look, and again, you don't really brake too hard in turn number 8. The heavy braking comes for 9, and the opportunity not there for the driver of the 5. He'll follow through in turn number 10. Felix Kwok, your leader in TCA right now in the M&S number 11. The Sanders Motorsport number 5 of Robert Cipriani Dietrich in second. There's Peter Hansen in the 12, just ahead of your overall race leader, as Jack Polito is starting to move through some of the slower classes. And this is what you see with multi-class racing.
And that is just on lap number 8 that Jack Polito is starting to catch the field, so you can see the difference in performance from those GT4 cars and the TCA cars. They're picking up several seconds each lap, so it's not long before you start getting into traffic. And this will be the issue for Jack Polito moving forward now, is navigating his way through the TCA and TCR field and maintaining that gap between himself and Caden Goodrich, which is now at 2.8 seconds.
Well, I was going to say it's almost easier for Caden Goodrich because you have Jack Polito coming up on these cars and these drivers for the first time, and then all of a sudden now they're paying attention to their mirrors. They're seeing the other ones coming up on you, as Eric Kuntz actually put his flasher on to indicate you should take that side. I'm going to let you go there, but Caden Goodrich has an opportunity to potentially make up ground.
Good battles throughout the field in the Sports Car Championship Canada. Right now, that's the 66 of Gary Kwok and Connor Attrell, who is in hot pursuit of that 66 car of Gary Kwok. Good battle between those two TCR competitors headed down the Mario Andretti straightaway.
They'll follow him in line, catching the draft down that long straightaway here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The 80 of Attrell. He's not quite close enough to make a move before he gets to turn number 8, so he'll stay in line. And that Hyundai Elantra N, sponsored by Quaker State, but seems Gary Kwok has been losing a little bit of steam. The 66 started in the 4th position, or 5th position, I should say, and has been sliding back just a little bit. Tomlinson got around him, and now in the 80 is really turning up the pressure.
Yeah, he is, and it's a good illustration. Oh, as we're watching a car who's having a little off-road excursion.
That's Felix Kwok.
That is Felix Kwok that has gone off and has given up those 2 spots to Eric Kuntz in the 25 car and the 5 of Robert Cipriani Dietrich.
Boy, that is a moment. Look at the dirt coming out from the under tray of the 11 as Felix Kwok had an episode in turn number 3 way out to the tire wall. I don't believe he did make contact with it, but if he didn't, it was very close. And what he did was picked up a lot of dirt, grass, and sand that he's dragging onto the racetrack, and some of it is falling as he makes his way around. So it doesn't appear to be too bad now. The turn number 5 is where a big chunk fell out.
I bet he was, his heart rate increased substantially as that car ventured off course, but some nice work in car control to maintain a little bit of pace and keep that car moving, not getting stuck out in the grass and in the dirt. It rained rather heavily last night, so it's still a little bit damp out there, but some nice work to get back on track. But finds himself now having to battle back to try to fight for those positions that he's given up.
And those are the leaders in the TCR class. 84 Richard Boak in the Vets Pools and Spa Audi, just ahead of the Martella number 95. So they go single file in and around the TCA class cars. The next up on the docket will be the orange number 25 of Eric Kuntz for these drivers, but Martella and Boak matching each other step for step.
We've seen this a number of times through the season in the Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin, whether it's Anthony Martella leading Richard Boak, or as they are now, Boak ahead of Martella. Those two have battled head-to-head at numerous events this season. It's great battling that you see making their way around now. The 25 of Eric Kuntz headed out onto the straightaway, but so much fun to watch these two competitors charge through the field.
Yeah, we should talk, too. There's a race within a race. There's the CTMP Cup presented by Omologato, which is a special championship for the 4 races here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And in that, this battle here is a battle that's playing out in the points for that championship. Richard Boak leads Anthony Martella, but he does have a significant margin ahead. Boak won both races in the spring, so he has 80 points to Martella's 57. GT4 pretty much locked up with Jack Polito, as you see the 22 maneuvering his way through turn number 2. And in TCA, it's a lot closer, as you have Eric Kuntz ahead of Robert Cipriani Dietrich. So again, that's the CTMP Cup presented by Omologato, a special championship within the overall championship that we're watching here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin.
With 4 races here, the early events of the Victoria Day Speed Fest, and here you can make another championship out of it. And we're watching the 22 of Jack Polito navigate his way around. He has now stretched the margin out ahead of the 77 of Caden Goodrich to a 5.8 second gap, and there you see the difference. It's quite visible as to how far Polito has pulled out once again, and he just continues to cruise along comfortably in front of the field and looks to be trying to keep that record intact here at CTMP.
Yeah, Caden Goodrich did miss several events over the course of the season. Ran the opening events at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and of course Jack Polito starting all of them in 2024. As we mentioned, 7 of 8 races have ended in victories so far for the 22 team. He's well on his way in this one as well. But the battle, probably the best one that we've been watching, is in the TCR class, and it's Richard Boak ahead of Anthony Martella. And it looks like the youngster is just waiting for the veteran Boak to make a misstep, and I don't know if it's going to come. Boak's 31 races coming into this event in the Sports Car Championship, and he has 8 wins, which is 3rd on the all-time list.
It has been quite the performance this season. He's had some difficulties, but not necessarily of his own doing. He had a little bit of a hiccup during qualifying, during race number 1 during the Toronto Indy weekend. Had to qualified at the back of the TCR pack, but then charged his way through. And as we mentioned earlier, has had nose-to-tail battles with Anthony Martella. Martella made a mistake. Boak pounced, capitalized, and scored the victory. But then looked to be on his way to another victory at GP3R a few weeks ago, but then had a mechanical issue where the car went into a limp mode, and he just managed to hang on for the rest of the race. It could have been another victory there. So it's not necessarily him that's had issues, but sometimes there's a mechanical problem, sometimes a little qualifying difficulty has worked against him.
Yeah, he finished as the runner-up in the championship in 2023 as the battle heating up once again at the front of the TCA class, and a big hop off the curbing on the exit of turn number 5. And watch how this affects the drive down the Andretti straightaway for Robert Cipriani Dietrich in that Subaru. Eric Kuntz, admittedly, he says, I don't have enough straight line speed compared to the Subaru, but he does have the ability to draft that close as they head towards turn 8.
Especially when Cipriani Dietrich has a problem coming off the corner and doesn't get the push and the drive that you're looking for. It sometimes presents an opportunity, although it looks like Robert will take advantage of that superior performance and hang on to that lead. But again, a good nose-to-tail fight that we have seen several times this year from Robert Cipriani Dietrich and Eric Kuntz. Those two have battled all season long in the Sports Car Championship Canada and continuing here today.
Here's something I learned just today about that 25 car. And speaking with Eric Kuntz, he says at this racetrack, did you know I can't make it the entire distance on fuel flat out? So he says he has to think and he has to work on fuel saving strategies as a driver. He says we're just a little bit short. If we get one caution, we're good. And you see Tom Kwok in the 55. That's a TCR class car working his way through that battle for the lead in the TCA class. But Eric Kuntz in that 2017 Honda Civic is a little bit short on fuel. Robert Cipriani-Dietrich doesn't have to think of that. He can go flat out.
Interesting, and wonder if he doesn't mind riding in the draft of Robert Cipriani-Dietrich now and then to help save a little bit of fuel. But an interesting mindset for the driver, knowing as you take the green flag, I have to save fuel. Right from the very start of the race, again, if you get a caution flag, it sort of takes that away, but we've been green since the start of this race, and we're just reaching the halfway point now, and that's going to work into the mindset of Eric Kuntz.
And as a race car driver, when you're that close to the lead and you see the 5 car just within striking distance, you know he's giving it a little extra. It's so hard to stay off the loud pedal and try and preserve that fuel because you want to get that extra step on the podium.
It's you see the opportunity if you drive a little deeper into the corner, but again, remembering that you have to save fuel. The correct play is to let off the accelerator a little bit earlier. Let the car coast into the corners. Don't use as much brake. Don't drive as deep. You won't use as much fuel. It's something that Eric Kuntz has to think about all the way. It's been problem-free for Jack Polito as we're reaching the halfway point, and he continues to cruise in that number 22 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, he can save fuel if he wants at the front of the field as we see the cross flags halfway down, halfway to go for Jack Polito, the overall race leader and currently top spot in the GT4 class. He's about 9 seconds up on second place, Caden Goodrich. Richard Boak leads in the TCR class ahead of Anthony Martella and Ruben Volt. And then we've been talking about that TCA battle between Robert Cipriani-Dietrich and Eric Kuntz. Those are your top 2 drivers there. Here's Boak, or Martella, I should say, in the 95, still chasing the 84 of Richard Boak.
And this is the point in the race where you'll have been able to assess what your car performance is, where you might be feeling a little bit better, and watching your competitor in front to say, maybe this is going to be my opportunity. Position yourself for a pass a little bit later on, get through the middle portion of this race and assess where you are. Am I better into corner number 8? Am I better into corner number 1? What's the best opportunity for me to take advantage of it? Right now, Richard Boak looks pretty comfortable out in front of Anthony Martella, and that gap has been pretty consistent for the last little while.
There's a look at the craze back number 8, and that is Ruben Volt. And again, we talked about that a little bit off the top. Just 18 years old. This is his first start in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. His first visit to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And look at how far the leaders are ahead. They're well within striking distance. He is keeping them very, very honest. So he normally runs a TCR Honda Civic just like this one in Europe, both in TCR Italy and TCR Europe. He's 34th in the World TCR standings, so he's no slouch, and he's showing just how good he is here today.
Didn't seem at all shy about sticking his nose in there earlier when Anthony Martella had a bit of an issue at the start of the race. Richard Boak took over top spot, and well, it wasn't long before Ruben Volt jumped in to take over second spot and pushed Martella back to third.
Native of Estonia as well, too, so he's not from around here. It's not like he could come out and turn some practice laps, but he definitely is taking to this track fairly quickly.
Well, and again, a good point about his talent to come to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, a very challenging circuit with only a short practice session before qualifying, and to perform as well as he has in a short period of time says a lot about that youngster.
Through the lap traffic, that's Megan Leahy in the 26 Hyundai, so she will pull to the outside and let the 8 of Volt slide through, and Volt will continue his quest to close the gap on the 2 race leaders. But there you can see, you catch a car in the wrong spot, and Megan Leahy did exactly what she needed to do and sort of popped up out of the way, but it just slowed that 8 car up just enough, and the gap gets a little bit bigger in front of them.
Again, sports car racing, having to navigate the traffic. Sure, the TCR cars have superior performance to the TCAs, but where you catch the traffic is the important part. If you don't do it where you can easily slide by and make a pass, it's going to hold you up. That's going to make the job a little bit more difficult for Ruben Volt to try to close that gap and move up back into second position, which he had held until Anthony Martella took over. Again, navigating the traffic through on past the 26 of Megan Leahy. That is the 66 of Gary Kwok, followed again by Connor Luttrell. Those two have been battling since the drop of the green.
Yeah, for sure. And we can tell you about that 26 car, the black Hyundai Veloster, and that is part of Accelerating Inclusion, and it's a program started this year as part of the SCCC. So it's backed by Michelin Motorsport, Hyundai Canada, and FAF Motorsports. The MD Motorsport prepared FAF Motorsport entry gives an opportunity for women in motorsport to take a step on that next racing ladder movement that they're trying to jump up. It just gives an opportunity to get into the next level of racing, and that's exactly what we're seeing here with Megan Leahy. We saw it with Chloe Drummond to start the year. Leahy took over just ahead of the GP3R Series. It's
been an initiative from the teams and participants in the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin as well, with Megan Tomlinson and Megan Leahy, Ellen Sanders from Sanders Motorsports, who have come together to put together Slate Racing, which is, again, promoting women in motorsports and creating opportunities and giving them opportunities to show that they are there for women to participate.
Yeah, for sure. As you see, Caden Goodrich moved through, so he is second in the GT4, second overall, as he makes his way around that lead battle in the TCA class. And there is your overall race leader, Jack Polito, in the 22. Once again, out in front as he eases his way through turn number 5 and down the Andretti straightaway. He is so good and so smooth here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. As a matter of fact, he started a couple of years ago here at this track and immediately went to victory lane. And he hasn't stopped winning here at this track since.
It's been a remarkable display of consistency, elite level performance. It's not just the car, it is Jack Polito and how he handles that car as well. Super smooth, doesn't make mistakes. Mentioned the one race at GP3R where he did not score points. He crashed out. There was another car involved. It was an aggressive move that was taking place, and there was contact, and the result was Polito did not finish. But when he finishes this year, he has finished on the top step of the podium.
As a matter of fact, he tops the all-time wins list in the SCCC, 18 in 24 races. So he stands to make it 19 in 25 races. It's an average finish of 1.3 in his entire career. That is incredible when you talk about stats.
There's the 77 of Caden Goodrich in that Porsche circulating around at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Also, we've seen him participate and jumping into this car and others this season as well, trying to immerse himself, get as many laps as he possibly can, and you can see the improvement that he's made in his driving skills as well throughout the year. And it's nice to see that as drivers come to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park to get a handle on it. And it's one of the benefits of coming back for a second time. They know what to expect, they know what to deal with around this challenging circuit, and Caden Goodrich is one of those. You can really see the improvement and progress he's made in a single year.
Yeah, smooth driver in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS Club Sport, and again ran about 5 races in 2023, finishing with 2 podiums. And again, just a youngster, former kart racer. Did race some Super Production Challenge, which is another sports car series here in Canada, and but he immediately got behind the wheel of that GT4 and he immediately went to the front.
There's the TCR battle for the lead. It is Richard Boak who continues to lead the 95 of Anthony Martella. A pretty consistent gap. It's just under 0.4 of a second right now as we're getting into the final 12 minutes of this 40-minute timed race here at CTMP. Those two got shuffled a little bit at the start of the event. Now Anthony Martella has climbed back in front of the 8 car of Ruben Volt and renewed the battle with Richard Boak that we have seen time and time again this year.
Once again, you're with Dave Bradley and Todd Lewis, bringing you the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Jack Polito, the leader overall and leader in GT4. Richard Boak. This is the battle we're watching in the TCR class. Anthony Martella is there in second in the 95. Remember, he started this season as a 15-year-old behind the wheel of that Audi, and everybody thought, okay, he's just going to get some experience. No, he's going to get some wins, and that's exactly what he's done in 2024.
And when he started, he was also running in open wheel races at the start of the year. He has stepped back from that program and focused on sports cars. Was talking to his dad and yesterday a little bit, and they're kind of looking at options and how they want to go next year. It's sort of leaning towards the sports car area, but not sure exactly how that program will come together. But they want to find the best opportunity for Anthony to succeed. And again, as a 15-year-old showing his talent, there's plenty of it there that they want to help nourish and develop.
No doubt, a lot of eyes are watching that youngster, especially here today as he chases yet another victory here in 2024. But smoke problems on the 5 of Robert Cipriani Dietrich, so he did bang a curb a little bit earlier in this race. That smoke looks to be coming from the left rear corner.
I don't know if that's a tire rub or a tire going down, but that smoke is getting worse as he makes his way through corner number 1. And you know that the 25 of Eric Koons is just waiting to pounce, but also does not want to get collected in any of the troubles that Robert Cipriani Dietrich is having. He's off course.
That's where the exhaust comes out on that Subaru, and I believe he has seen some warning lights come up on the dash of that number 5. The Sanders Motorsport entry pulls to the runoff area in turn number 2, and the lights off. He's done. Robert Cipriani Dietrich from the lead in the TCA class to sitting idle on the side of the racetrack. Heartbreaker for him, but this is what Eric Koons absolutely needed in that 25. He was happy where he was sitting in second spot, but a race win to clinch the championship in the TCA class would be icing on the cake.
Oh, what a way to do it. Unfortunate break for Robert Cipriani Dietrich. As you mentioned, coming through corner 5, you saw that car hop and bounce a little bit. Did it damage something as he was coming through corner 5? But yes, there is obviously a terminal issue, and Robert Cipriani Dietrich has pulled off, done for the day early.
Good for him to recognize that and not wait until, if it was a motor issue, an engine issue, wait for it to expire and pour oil on the ground. I mean, that would really mess up a lot of people's races. So yeah, you figure it out in a hurry. You know it's going south. You're not going to win this race. You might as well.
And understanding that they have one more race this weekend as well to deal with, so they'll get time to address that, and you don't want to do any more damage to your own car. We've resumed watching that battle between the 84 of Richard Boak and Anthony Martella, and it looks like Robert Cipriani Dietrich is there, and the safety workers are just checking to make sure. It looks like they want him to get out of the car and behind the wall.
Yeah, so he was asking that. He didn't want to do it before getting permission. The corner marshal says, yeah, unbuckle, get out, it's time to go. As we stay green, so just a local caution for the stop, number 5, but he is well off the racing surface. As a matter of fact, well off the runoff area too. But Jack Polito continues in the 22, out in front. Leader overall now by 13 seconds over Caden Goodrich. And still the battle for the lead in the TCR class is between Richard Boak and Anthony Martella, with Ruben Volts not far behind. Ron Tomlinson just turned his quickest lap of the race in the 48 car, but Robert Cipriani Dietrich, a cool shot of him getting a bottle of water there from one of the fans at trackside in turn number 2.
And there you see the 5 car stricken off to the side. Nothing you can do but have a drink and watch the rest of this race and make your way back to the paddock afterwards. That is a good battle that we have seen, and now we're getting out into just over 7 minutes remaining, and this is going to be go time for Anthony Martella. If he's serious, he's got to find a way around Richard Boak in the next few minutes to try to take over top spot in TCR to secure another victory.
Let's not count out the 8 of Ruben Volts. He's about 0.8 of a second quicker than the 2 cars in front of him. So the pair of Audis really have been focusing on each other, but that Honda Civic of Ruben Volt in the 8 is nearly in the slipstream as they head down the Andretti straightaway. He has found his stride here in the late stages of this 30-minute timed race. And again, we're coming up on 6.5 minutes to go as they cross the stripe this time by. Boak has been out in front for nearly the entire distance. Anthony Martella started on pole. Boak got by in the early going, and he's just sort of held that 95 at bay.
Quick glance in the mirrors for Richard Boak as they enter corner number 1. He's under no immediate threat from the 95 of Anthony Martella, so he can just hit his marks and go through. Back to the TCA leader of Eric Kuntz, who has inherited top spot after the problems from Robert Cipriani Dietrich, and his mission now, just bring that car home and collect the checkered flag, and with it, clinch the 2024 TCA Championship.
That would be something else. You see Felix Kwok in the 11 is in behind, a little bit far back to mount a challenge at this point, as we are now under 6 minutes left to be completed. And a good look at Eric Kuntz as he slides his way through turn number 8. And again, we talked about the fuel savings that needs to happen by the driver of the number 25, and that's exactly what he's thinking about right now. As he can look in his rearview mirror, he'll see a couple of TCR cars closing in. Felix Kwok moving to the outside and letting those two cars go through. The 38 of Megan Tomlinson in the Audi, and the Honda Civic, the 55 of Tom Kwok, will go through unscathed. And there's your overall race leader, the Comstock livery 22 of Jack Polito. Again, a throwback scheme, and for Jack Polito, a throwback to another dominating performance here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, something that he has been doing fairly frequently behind the wheel of a GT4 car, and that GT4 Ford Mustang, not the same one that he rode last year to victory. That's a brand new one in 2024. He won twice here earlier this season, and then won at every other stop, as a matter of fact, in 2024. He's been that good. He's only missed victory lane once, that happening at the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières during the last race weekend. And you can see Eric Kuntz in the number 25 to the inside. There, that gives you an idea of the horsepower difference, too, between some of the other vehicles. So 540 horsepower for Jack Polito. You got 220 horsepower for Eric Kuntz. Still a very fast car, hitting about 200 kilometers an hour by the end of the straightaway, but not quite up to the level of a GT4 car with twice the number of cylinders. For Jack Polito as he works through some TCR lap traffic. Megan Tomlinson currently in 10th overall. Tom Kwok in the 55 in 11th. There's Caden Goodrich, the number 11, or 77, excuse me, in second spot. And again, the difference there is significant. As Goodrich comes across, it's about a 14-second difference between the leader and second place in the GT4 category. Peter Hansen in the Subaru number 12, just ahead. You saw it flash through your screen, but again, it's this three-car battle for the lead in TCR with Richard Boak, Anthony Martella, and Ruben Volz. That is your top three. They are third, fourth, and fifth on the racetrack right now, and again, time is running out for Anthony Martella. He needs to do something quickly. We were now at 3 minutes to go in this 40-minute timed race. So Martella has been stalking the 84 of Richard Boak, hoping that the veteran makes a mistake. But again, Richard Boak has done nothing wrong. And now we'll come into some heavier lap traffic. So potentially an opportunity for the two drivers behind. You see Hansen will tuck to the inside and out of the way. You'll see the flasher go on from the 11 car of Felix Kwok, and he'll let the leaders know which side he would like them to pass on. And Boak and Martella do the same thing. They slide around the outside and now go single file through turn number 9 and into turn number 10. Onto the front straightaway and headed towards turn number 1. Ruben Volt might have got the short end of the stick just a little bit, and working through lap traffic has dropped back just a touch compared to the top two in the TCR class. So it looks like his attempt at triumph today will end in the third spot unless the top two drivers get into mixing it up, and could potentially still happen as Eric Kuntz slides to the outside. Lets Boak go through. Here comes Martella, who has to pinch down on the exit of turn number 3 to avoid the number 25. They'll make it through. Everybody unscathed, but Martella lost just a little bit of ground in this ultra-tight lead battle at the front of the TCR class. So this is by far the best race for the class lead in the TCR. You can see your race leader in the GT4 class. That is Jack Polito, and you can see no traffic in front, no traffic behind for the driver of the Ford Mustang, backed by Polito Ford, as he heads onto the front straightaway, and we'll see the white flag. One more lap to go for your overall race leader, Jack Polito, who has led since nearly the drop of the green. He started on pole. He did give up the race lead, but not for very long. Down the back straightaway, managed to take it back and continuously put in solid, fast laps and opened up a gap over the 77 of Caden Goodrich at second place in GT4. And there is that lead battle again in the TCR class. The 84 of Richard Boak and Martella now with only about a half a track left to make an opportunity happen for the driver of the 95. He's closed the gap back up into turn number 3. Will he try something? Turn number 5 presents an opportunity. Will he be close enough? Richard Boak now through turn number 4. It's nearly a flat-out corner downhill. Now in through the bottom of that gully in turn number 4, up for turn 5A, B, still nose to tail on the exit of turn number C, and down, or 5C I should say, and down the straightaway they go as the 22 of Jack Polito will come through the final couple corners through turn number 9 for the final time, and now into 10 he goes. Again, no pressure from behind as Jack Polito, who has won 7 of 8 races so far this year, will add to that win total here in race number 1 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The 22 goes to victory lane. Second place will go to the 77 of Caden Goodrich as he eases it off of turn number 10. And just in behind, you see that battle for the race win in the TCR. And it will be your points leader, Richard Boak, extending that lead in the 84, picking up the win over the 95 of Anthony Martella. And how about this? The driver of the 25 in TCA, Eric Kuntz, making his way onto the front straightaway, and he will not only win the race today, he clinches the 2024 championship of the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin in the TCA class. Felix Kwok coming home in second in the 11 car. Spirited run after a mishap in turn number 3. Nearly got him into the tire wall, but he hung on to finish in second. So great race throughout the field. Big congratulations to your race winner in the GT4 class, Jack Polito, in the TCR class, Richard Boak, and in TCA, Eric Kuntz. As you can see, the field now making their way down the back straightaway on their cool down lap. Collecting the congratulations from this great crowd here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park here today. Lights flashing from Jack Polito as he continues to celebrate. Again, he has clinched the class championship once again in the GT4 class. So this just adds to that glory that he'll receive here in 2024. Still, the only championship that hasn't been settled yet is in TCR. Richard Boak, again, adds to his points lead just by a little bit. Anthony Martella will need something special tomorrow in race number 2 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But once again, for Todd Lewis, I'm Dave Bradley. Thanks very much for joining us in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. Up next, qualifying for the NASCAR Canada Series. So we'll welcome back Adam Ross and Pat Gonzalez to the booth, and they will be the next voices you'll hear.